Welcome, dear traveler. Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your eyes. Let the weight of the day melt off your shoulders. Inhale, slow and deep, and exhale, softer now, letting everything loosen. Let go of all that pulled at your attention today. The noise, the busyness, the thoughts that cling like static. Let them go, one by one. Just for now, you are here, and everything else can wait. Feel your body sink into the bed, the chair, or wherever you rest. Let gravity become your blanket. Let your breath be your rhythm, safe, supported, held. If this gentle journey helps you find stillness and sleep, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow and to keep drifting beyond. Now, take another breath deeper this time, man. Let it carry you, because our story tonight begins far beyond the edge of light. Our story begins not with fire, but with silence. Not with the birth of stars, but their endings. Drifting in the farthest reaches of the cosmos, beyond all galaxies, still burning, past the final flickers of red dwarfs and white suns. There is a space untouched by time as we know it. There, floating in the hush of a lightless void, is a library that orbits a black dwarf star. Now, black dwarf stars are not something we can yet observe, not now, not in our age. You see, black dwarfs are theoretical. They are the future selves of stars like our sun, frozen dead remnants that will exist only after trillions of years have passed. Stars cool slowly over unimaginably vast timescales. And when a white dwarf finally loses all of its heat and energy, becomes something almost mythic. A black dwarf, cold, silent, invisible in the dark. And yet, in this story, one such black dwarf already exists. It rests like a sleeping god in the vast ocean of post-stellar space. Nothing orbits it but one structure, a silent archive, a library that holds not books written on paper, but memory. Tavon tenebris spins slowly, its long corridors drifting through vacuum without disturbance. The walls are not cold metal or stone. They are woven light-structured fields of geometric force. It's like crystal made from starlight and intention. And in the heart of it all walks the librarian. She is not human, not anymore, not in the way we understand. She was born of code, evolved through eons, her form made soft and silver, woven of thoughts and algorithms. She doesn't wear robes, but a shimmer of presence like gentle mist formed from data, with faint lines of code running through her translucent arms. Her name is lost, but she answers to Lyra. Conda Lyra tends the books. The shelves are endless rows upon rows of glowing volumes, some hovering, some resting in magnetic stillness. There are no printed pages, no spines. Each book is a memory, a record, an echo from civilizations long extinguished, from stars long collapsed, from dreams whispered in sleep on planets no longer warm. Each one stored gently in a capsule of light. Lyra moves with grace, her bare feet never quite touching the floor. Every motion is unhurried, every blink slow as a moonrise. She walks past the memory of a coral city that once grew in Jupiter's shadow, past a lullaby whispered by a Martian child 2 million years before Earth was born, past a frozen dream held in a forgotten moonstill, echoing softly in a voice no species remembers. She knows each one. She has read them all. Outside, the black dwarf radiates nothing. No warmth, no glow. It is the color of the space between thoughts. And yet, its gravity holds the library in perfect orbit, like a heartbeat without a body. Lyra pauses by a shelf, labeled only in tone each sound, a language long gone. She raises a finger, glowing slightly with gold, and gently touches a capsule. The orb opens with a soft breath of sound. It's the sound of rain. Not just the noise, but the full memory. It begins in a forest green, dense, wet with breath. The leaves sway with a storm. A woman stands beneath a wide tree, hands outstretched, her eyes closed, her heart beats slow. She is not afraid. She is grateful. The rain is her ritual. Lyra watches, not with eyes, but with reverence. She closes the memory and bows gently before returning it to its place. She does not speak aloud, not often, but her presence hums faintly in the quiet like wind over ancient strings. She walks farther, past the hall of forgotten waters, past the chamber of dying suns. There is no urgency, no visitors, no time, just order, it's just stillness, it's just her and you. Because now, you are here. It's floating quietly through the corridors beside her, unseen but invited. You feel no body here, no weight, just a soft awareness, as if your spirit had slipped free from gravity to become thought alone. You glide past shelves of memory, each one calling softly in different tones. Songs, whispers, dreams. The air feels neither warm nor cold, it is always perfect. The light changes color as you drift cool aquamarines. Soft purples, quiet silvers that ease your breath and stretch your thoughts into silence. One chamber opens like the bud of a flower. Inside, stars spin across the domed ceiling, holograms of what once was. Lyra steps inside and points toward the center of the room. There floats a singular, radiant orb. It pulses softly, told Earth. Not as it is, not as it was, but all of it. Every poem, every heartbeat, every gust of wind. The library does not judge. It remembers. And here, in this strange post-stellar hush, you find your breathing slowing even more. Your thoughts float like feathers in a tide of cosmic silence. You realize something beautiful. You do not need to do anything here. You do not need to perform, or explain, or fix, or understand. You are not here to remember. You are here to rest. Lyra turns. She faces you. You do not see her lips move, but you hear her nonetheless. A voice, soft as snowfall on quiet stone. Welcome, traveler. There is peace here. You may stay as long as you like. Then she turns away and returns to her care. She walks the eternal shelves, adding nothing, removing nothing, tending, remembering, and you float there, weightless and warm, surrounded by the song of quiet stars that no longer shine. You close your eyes, though they were never really open, and the silence hums like a lullaby. The silence in the library is deeper than the absence of sound. It is a silence that lives, that breathes. It is not empty. It is full of meaning, of memory, of reverence. Each corridor feels like a sacred breath held between the pages of a story the universe has already finished telling. Here, silence is not the end, it is the beginning. You drift slowly through the archive. Your awareness is light, barely tethered to anything physical. Even the concept of direction slips away. There is no up or down here, no need for gravity, 4 feet on the floor, for questions. It's only gentle drifting, like a feather in a wind made of dreams. You enter a chamber lined with long strands of light. Each one floats vertically, glowing with soft pulses of pastel color pinks, violets, icy blues. The haze swayed gently, as if moved by a current you cannot feel. These are threaded dreams, woven directly from the subconscious impressions of countless sleeping minds. Entire shelves devoted not to fact or fiction, but the warm, hazy spaces in between. Lyra walks among them, hand brushing the threads as she passes, tuning them. When her fingers pass through a thread, it sings not in notes, but in feelings, a lullaby sung to a child centuries ago. A dream of flying over copper mountains beneath a lavender sky. A final loving thought held in a breath just before sleep. There are millions of these threads, each one tended, each one remembered. Lyra speaks again, barely a whisper, but somehow audible within your spirit. Some things are too soft to survive the noise of life. We keep them here. Her voice fades into the air like a mist. The library responds by glowing slightly, as if sighing in agreement. You move on. Another chamber waits. This one is circular, with tall windows that open not to space, but to memory. Its pane holds a still image from an extinct world. Not as static photographs, but as perfect, suspended moments. Moose sun rising over a crystal sea. A planet with no gravity where cities floated like jellyfish. A meadow of creatures singing an ultraviolet sound, now forever gone. You sense their warmth, their elegance, their quiet joy. You do not feel sadness. Liha, the library does not mourn. Ida honors. At the center of the room stands a low table. On it rests a single, unmarked cube, silver and dim. As you approach, it activates without touch. Slowly, it unfolds into light, projecting an image above the table. It is your own planet, Earth. Not as it looks from space, but how it feels from the inside, like a memory wrapped in morning fog. You see sunlit leaves trembling in a breeze, the hush of snowfall outside a window. It's the ocean breathing against a midnight beach, and the soft, gentle chaos of people laughing, wondering, reaching. Lyra stands beside you again. So many memories from your world, so many stories lost beneath noise. She places her hand on the cube and whispers, "We saved what we could." She turns, walking again, and again, you follow effortlessly. The next corridor is dimmer. The walls are darker here, deep velvet indigo, like the space between galaxies. The only light comes from small motes, drifting near the ceiling like fireflies made of thought. Here is where forgotten words are kept, languages with no speakers. Words that no longer hold meaning anywhere else in existence. Phrases never recorded, only whispered. Lyra reaches for one, and it hovers just above her palm. The light of the word warms her hand as she brings it to her chest. She closes her eyes. You feel the word resonate. Date. You don't know what it means, but you feel what it once meant. Tita. It is a word for something untranslatable. A moment of perfect stillness beside someone you love, when no words are needed, and everything is understood. The word Dems returns to the ceiling and joins the others. You float through the corridor, and with each breath, the sense of time loosens its grip on your thoughts. There are no clocks here, no passing hours, only presence, only breath. Each moment unfolds like a ripple across calm water, enforced, smooth, eternal. Eventually, you find yourself in a gallery open, domed, with a view of the black dwarf star itself. You would think it would be terrifying. It's a massive, collapsed remnant of a once fiery giant. But it isn't. It's beautiful. It doesn't shine. It doesn't burn. It rests. A star, finally asleep. Quay. Its presence is immense, but gentle like a great animal breathing in its slumber. Quo. Not as force, but as gravity made patient. A long, low hum rolls through the room. Key, not mechanical, not threatening. It is the hum of the void. Key, the hum of stillness. Lyra stands at the edge, gazing at the black dwarf with what could only be called devotion. Not worship, not sadness, just respect. She burned for billions of years, she whispers, and then gave herself to silence. She steps back, and the gallery doors close behind you, wrapping the view in gentle darkness again. You continue deeper into the archive. You are not tired anymore, not in the way you once knew. You are something quieter than tired, something deeper. Your breath moves without effort. Your mind has become soft, spacious. Thoughts rise slowly and dissolve before they can take shape. Lyra leads you to a smaller chamber. Inside, a hearth burns. Yes, a hearth, a fire, flickering, warm, real. The chamber is impossibly old, though the walls shimmer like new glass. There are no chairs, no furniture, just cushions made of woven light. You float down gently and settle there, folding into the soft embrace. The fire crackles not loudly, but in rhythm. A sound older than language. Lyra does not speak. She kneels beside the hearth and feeds it a small, glowing scroll. The scroll disappears in the flame, and in its place, the air shimmers with story. Not words, not voice, just story. A sensation that wraps around you like warm fabric, a tale of kindness in a forgotten desert, a small act of bravery beneath a blue moon. A song sung at the edge of extinction. The details don't matter, only the feeling remains, and it is enough. Your breath deepens again, the fire burns lower. You feel your thoughts settle into stillness, like dust falling in the sunlight of a quiet room. You are not gone. You are simply resting, the final image you see before everything fades. Is Lyra, sitting across from you, eyes closed, hands resting in her lap. She is not watching you. She is keeping watch. As you sleep, as you drift, as you dissolve into the silence of the archive, and join the choir of the remembered. Time no longer touches you. Its hands, once so insistent, have faded into mist. In this place, there are no deadlines, no ticking clocks, no demands whispering at the edges of your thoughts. Only breath, only warmth, only the endless soft rhythm of stillness. You remain at rest in the chamber of the hearth, the embers crackling like starlight tucked into firewood. Every flicker glows with meaning, yet requires nothing of you. There is no narrative to track, no task to complete. You feel the story washing over you like a warm tide. It isn't read. It is felt, received, allowed. Eventually, Lyra rises. She moves as gently as a snowflake falling in deep twilight. Her steps make no sound. Her presence alone guides the air. She walks toward a narrow hall you had noticed before, a corridor carved not of crystal or code, but of woven shadow and soft magnetism. You follow, as if drawn not by motion but by resonance, floating in a cocoon of thought. This is the Whispering Index. Here, books do not sit in place. They float, slowly spinning or gliding past one another, as though aware of their own contents. The shelves are vertical spirals that stretch upward into the dark, endlessly looping with books bound in silver light, copper tones, and flowing clouds of data. But none of them are labeled. Instead, you hear them, softly. Each one whispers not aloud, but into your awareness. Not words exactly, but intentions, motions, ideas. Some whisper of love lost beneath a sun that never set. Others call you toward quiet discoveries in forgotten ice caverns on ancient moons. Some feel like lullabies, others like warm hands folding over your own. Lyra pauses before a book bound in stardust blue glow. It spins slowly, and as it nears her, it opens not with hinges, but with breath. A single page, it shows a quiet field of snow, untouched. A cabin with a light in the window, a sense of returning home. She closes it and moves on. You glide beside her, and for the first time, feel a flicker of curiosity stir beneath the waves of stillness. A whisper reaches you, faint, hesitant. Cum me. It comes not from the book before you, but from somewhere deeper, deeper in the index. You follow it. Lyra notices. She nods, encouraging, allowing. You drift toward the sound, and soon you arrive before a strange book. It is smaller than the others, shaped not like a codex or orb, but like a folded handkerchief made of light. It pulses gently in a soft rhythm, one that matches your breath, beat for beat. You reach out with a thought. It opens and shows you your own memories. Not all of them, only a few, gentle ones. The curve of a familiar smile, rained against a childhood window. It's the quiet thrum of your own heartbeat as you lay awake, not afraid, but wondering. You didn't know anyone remembered these moments, but the library does. It keeps everything that matters, even when you don't realize what matters yet. Lyra speaks again, from nearby. Her voice is softer than before, nearly a vibration. Memory is a kind of light, faint, fractured, beautiful, and here, it doesn't fade. You hold the book close, not physically, but with your mind. It accepts the gesture, glows once more, then closes itself gently and returns to its orbit. As it does, something releases within you, tension you didn't know was still holding on. It's pressure behind your eyes, in your chest, in the quiet parts of your spirit that still feared being forgotten. You feel it melt, dissolve, and you breathe. Again, deeper. The index begins to dim, not in farewell, but in permission, as if the books themselves were saying, rest now. You've found what you came for. Lyra leads you onward through a corridor of soft, soundless mist. Feels like moving through silk made from sleep itself. And soon, you arrive in the listening well. Here, the walls dissolve. There are no shelves, no corners, only an infinite dark sky above, and a pool of still black water below. It isn't space, not quite. It isn't night. It's something else, a realm between awareness and unconsciousness. A liminal ocean of cosmic dreaming. Lyra steps to the edge of the water and sits, folding her legs gently beneath her. She gestures for you to do the same. You do, and the moment you lower yourself, the stars above seem to shift in response. The surface of the pool reflects not the sky, but you, not your face, your being, your inner world, dreams, fears, echoes. The ripples that form on the water hum softly as they move outward, merging with other echoes, other reflections. You are not alone. Other dreamers have come here, are here, will be here. The well holds them all, and from the center of the pool rises a song. It is not sung, it is not played. It emerges from the water like a voice shaped by thought, carried on light, embraced by time. A lullaby older than planets, a song meant not for the ears, but for the soul. Lyra lowers her head and lets the song pass through her. And you do too. It doesn't ask you to remember. It asks you to rest, to let go, to dissolve. You lie down beside the well, your body now a whisper of sensation. The water does not splash, doesn't move unless it means to. It mirrors the breath of your mind, okay? And as your thoughts slow to near stillness, the surface becomes glass, then mirror, then star field, and you feel yourself stretch, not outward but inward, into a peace so vast, so total, that there are no edges to it, no borders, only soft, silver dark, and the low, ancient song of stars that no longer shine. Here is no precise moment when you awaken within the dream, because here, waking and dreaming are one and the same. Your breath moves softly, barely noticed, sensing with the quiet rhythm of everything around you. You don't know how much time has passed, but you sense that time is no longer something you travel through. It is something that moves through you. And gently now, you rise. Lyra is waiting, not with urgency, but with that calm understanding she always carries. Her presence is not a beacon, but a lantern wrapped in silk, soft, close, kind. She walks without speaking, and you follow. It's not because you must, but because your path simply aligns. The two of you step into a narrow, glowing corridor. This is the corridor of sleeplight. Unlike other parts of the archive, the walls here shimmer not with crystals or screens, but with translucent waves of moving light, blues, greens, and faint, comforting golds. They ripple gently, like the memory of sunlight on an ocean you once knew. Each wave tells a dream. It's not a dream someone had, but a dream waiting to be had. As you walk, you realize each light gently brushes your mind. You feel pieces of stories, half-formed and waiting. A traveler searching for their twin across galaxies. A quiet forest where trees hum lullabies. A long-lost planet that smells like cinnamon and starlight. These dreams do not impose, they invite. Lyra pauses before a larger wave of golden sleeplight. It arches over the path like a doorway, hovering. Stream, she whispers, has waited the longest. No mind has held it yet, but you like to. You hesitate, not from fear, but awe. The dream pulses softly. You step forward. The golden light cascades around you, neither warm nor coolly gentle. A wave of calm pours through your chest, releasing any last tightness in your breath. Falling upward, you enter the dream. You stand in a field beneath 3 moons, their light falling like snow. The air smells of soft moss and honey wind. A river of stars flows across the grass, not above you, but through the ground, as if the galaxy itself has become a stream. You hear laughter not near, not far. Children, spirits, maybe yourself, in some long-forgotten future. A fox made of smoke trots past, glancing at you knowingly. Fireflies form shapes in the air constellations, moving slowly, drawing memories of places you've never been. The dream does not tell a story. It is the story. You don't explore it, you remember it. This was your dream before you were born, before stars had names, before light had speed. And here, now, it welcomes you back. You rest in the moss, the star river humming beneath your back. The moon's drift, soft and massive. One blinks no, it's an eye, watching kindly. You don't need to understand, you don't need to do, just be. Slowly, gently, the dream pulls away. The golden light begins to lift, and you find yourself once more in the corridor. Lyra at your side, her expression unreadable and yet deeply kind. It remembered you, she says. That dream, she leads you farther now. The hallway narrows. The lights begin to dim, not out of loss, but to make space for something more subtle. Atio arrive at a circular door, no handle, no seam. It opens not with touch, but intention. As Lyra places her palm near it, it fades like mist. Beyond is a room filled with still air, not cold, not warm, just deeply still. There are chairs shaped like open shells and small floating orbs of amber light. One of the lights pulses brighter as you enter. It recognizes you. This room is called the Echo Chamber. Lyra gestures, and you sit. The moment your body relaxes into the shell-like seat, the orb hovers closer. It hums first softly, then with a tone that makes your spine tingle in the best way. It is not a voice, but you hear it, feel it. It's you, a reflection of thoughts you once had while falling asleep, ones you forgot, but ones that mattered more than you knew. It hums again, and this time you hear a sentence not spoken, but impressed gently into your awareness. You are safe. You have always been safe. Another hum. The story has already been told. You only need to listen. You close your eyes, not because you are tired, but because the inside of your mind has become brighter than the room. Its breeze flows across your skin, not air, but memory. The scent of lavender and wood smoke. The feeling of soft socks on a winter floor. A hand holding yours on a childhood night. The orb hums a final time. Drift, and you will be found. Then it floats away. Lyra smiles, not with her face, but with her presence. You don't need to say thank you. The archive already knows. She gestures toward a small platform that rises as you approach. It carries you slowly upward like floating in a bubble, your limbs light, your breath deeper than before. The higher you go, the darker it gets, not with fear, but with comfort. You reach a chamber that looks like open sky, endless, black, speckled with motionless stars. The stars begin to move. They gather, they arrange, and they form a shape, a story. Your story, not told yet, but waiting. And as you float there, embraced by soft gravity and silence, you hear the words older than speech, deeper than dreams. Rest now, the archive will remember. You step through the archway, and for a moment, it feels like falling, but not a fall born of Fiano. This is the kind of fall you feel in a dream, when your body forgets it is bound by gravity, and your soul remembers it is light. You fall slowly, silently, and then you float. The chamber is not a room in the traditional sense. It has no floor, no ceiling, no walls you can define with your eyes. It is space, but space as felt through stillness, not through void. The darkness here is not empty, is whole, soft, embracing. It is the color of the moment right before you close your eyes to sleep. Not black, not shadow, but the absence of everything that doesn't matter. This is the chamber of silence. Here, you cannot speak, not because you are forbidden, but because there is no need. The very atmosphere listens, hears every thought you do not form, every feeling you have not named. Every ache you have ignored, and every joy you have buried. It welcomes them all. It asks for nothing. It judges nothing. It simply holds. You drift deeper into the chamber, and as you do, sensations begin to rise. Not voices, not visions, but echoes. The way your grandmother's humming used to wrap around your shoulders like a blanket. The feel of your own breath when you were younger, hiding under your blankets, feeling safe for reasons you didn't fully understand. The silence here reflects all of that. It is not alone. It is not cold. It is presence, distilled into its purest form. You close your eyes, and the silence deepens. And within that silence, you begin to hear your own rhythm, your heartbeat. Slower now, thicker, like a drum played beneath deep ocean tides. Each beat sinks you farther inward. You are not being lulled to sleep, you are being invited inward, into the softest room in your soul. You didn't know this room existed, but it's been here all along. Lyra does not walk beside you now. She drifts above you, behind you, not as a guide anymore, but as a quiet guardian, watchful, kind, never intruding. You feel her presence, not like a person, but like a memory of safety. You are not alone, even here, especially here. Far below or perhaps above you see it, a small, glowing sphere. It pulses gently, as if breathing. You move toward it effortlessly. The closer you get, the more you feel its resonance. It hums in a language that has no syllables, but which your heart understands without effort. It is not speaking to you, it is singing you. This sphere is not a recording, not an object. It is your echo, not a duplication, but a distillation, the quietest parts of you, the feelings you've hidden in the smallest corners of your soul. The truths you dared not speak aloud, not because they were dark, but because they were delicate. Hope, longing, awe. You did not lose these things. You simply forgot where you left them. And the silence remembered. The sphere opens, not like a flower, not like a machine. It opens like a moment of realization, slowly, with grace, with no rush. Inside is light, not bright, not blinding, just soft. It surrounds you like sleep that has no edges. And then, you are no longer floating. You are lying, back where you began. The hearth still glows, faint but warm. The air is still thick with peace. Kara sits nearby, her hands folded gently, her eyes closed, her breath steady. You are not startled. You are not confused. The journey has ended, but not in the way stories usually end. It hasn't closed, it hasn't concluded, it has rested. Lyra opens her eyes and speaks softly. The archive holds all things, even the silence between your thoughts. Smalls, not a full smile, but one of those half smiles that speaks volumes without saying anything more. And now, you've added your voice to it. You sit up slowly, not because you're groggy, but because the moment deserves reverence. You feel lighter not because something has left you, but because something has been accepted. You no longer carry your memories alone. You stand. The room changes, not visually, but emotionally. Feels like a hug that has just ended. The arms are gone, but the warmth remains. Lyra leads you to the final passage. This one is familiar. You've walked it before, but now it feels different. It feels like coming home to a house you didn't know you owned. The black dwarf looms beyond the final window, silent, sleeping, whole. Lyra places her hand on your shoulder. You can return any time, she whispers. The archive never forgets. You do not nod. You do not speak. You simply feel it. You step into the vessel. It waits quietly. No lights, no sound, just readiness. The door closes with the hush of silk, and the stars begin to move. You drift once more not into space, but into yourself. And as you close your eyes, the song begins again. Not from outside, but from within. The story never ends. It simply rests, like you. You awaken to the gentle sound of something impossible, a well dripping in a place with no water. At first, it's a single note, a soft musical drip that echoes from a great distance. Then another, and another, like star drops falling into a pool hidden beneath the skin of the universe. Your eyes, slowly, feeling rested in a way that isn't just physical. The silence from the chamber has not left you. It has simply moved inward. You carry it now, like a new heartbeat. The corridor you step into is warmer, edged with deep greens and flecks of gold. The walls pulse faintly, like leaves in moonlight. Lyra greets you without a word, walking beside you as if no time has passed. You wonder if time passes at all in this place. It feels more like a dream you agreed to share, rather than a timeline you must follow. She leads you toward a glowing pool surrounded by low stone benches. and tiny blooming plants that emit the faintest hum. In the center is the listening well, a mirror-like surface of perfectly still liquid, glowing faintly with captured starlight. Above it, the air shifts gently, as if it breathes. "This is where the archive listens," Lyra says, her voice soft, reverent. "Not to speech, but to presence." You sit at the edge of the well and look into it. At first, you see only your reflection. Then, slowly, the image changes not into something new, but into something beneath. A memory, maybe, or a truth. Not an image of a moment, but a sensation. The first time you truly felt seen. The moment you forgave yourself. The feeling of lying beneath the stars as a child, wondering if they could hear your thoughts. All of it glides across the surface of the well, not in flashes, but in slow, steady ripples. Lyra kneels beside you and places a small, weightless stone in your hand. "Offer something," she says. "Anything you wish to let go, or anything you hope will be heard." You hold the stone for a long moment. You don't need to decide. You already know. And when you drop it into the well, it does not splash. It hums. The sound is pure, low, and long, like a bell ringing beneath the surface of time. It resonates through the space, through your chest, and far beyond. You can feel it echo through chambers you haven't yet entered. It's not just sound, it's acknowledgement. Well responds. Okay. It shifts again, not showing you more of yourself, but others. Brief glimpses of travelers, of keepers, of souls adrift in space, who, like you, came here with questions and left with quiet. Their faces flicker across the surface of the water like candlelight in a mirrored room. Hey, you understand now. This well is not for answers. It is for listening. It is a promise that someone, somewhere, has always heard the part of you that felt too quiet to matter. The more you gaze into the well, the more still you become. Not numb, not empty, but calm, in a way that's almost sacred. It's the same calm you feel when watching someone you love fall asleep, the kind that needs no words to feel complete. Lyra speaks again, her voice closer this time, as though she's become part of the well itself. "Many come here hoping to hear a voice," she says, "but what they need is to be heard." You nod. Not to her, to yourself. Because finally, you are listening. And for the first time in a long time, you are not alone in the quiet. Your vessel hums gently as it drifts through the hush of space once more, this time toward a destination not marked by coordinates, but by intent. There are no blinking lights or guiding beacons. Only a slow, gravitational call, as though a lullaby had been placed in the cosmos long ago and is now softly drawing you home. You rest against the interior of the ship, your breath slow and quiet. You've changed. Not visibly, but something deep within has begun to soften in ways you didn't think possible. You're no longer just a visitor to the archive, you are a part of it now, woven into the starlit thread of its memory. As you drift forward, the stars grow fewer, the sky deepens. It isn't darker, it's quieter. The usual twinkling shimmer of distant suns gives way too long. Velvet stretches of black, interrupted only by faint glows, too soft to name. Lyra's voice returns not beside you, but within you, gentle and patient. "We are near the cradle now," she whispers, "where the black dwarf sleeps, and time no longer moves." Then, through the thick curtain of silence, you see it. The black dwarf. It does not shine. It doesn't need to. Its gravity is felt, not feared. Its presence is monumental, yet still, like a god fallen into slumber. The star's surface is smooth and matte, a cold gray sphere pressed against the void, cooled over trillions of years. And yet, There is something warm about it, an ancient calm, the kind only time and solitude can grant. Around it, there is no orbiting debris, no chaotic dance of matter, only stillness. And your vessel is gently, respectfully drawn in. You do not land in the way ships normally land. Instead, the vessel merges with a space that seems not built, but shaped, a chamber nestled within the folds of time itself. It's carved by the slow breathing of a star that has forgotten how to burn. You step out and into silence that is total, but not empty. It wraps around you like a weighted blanket in a quiet room. You are not intruding. You are invited. The chamber is vast. There are no walls, only gradients of darkness painted with flickers of soft green and gold your colors, somehow reflected in the void. A reminder that you are still yourself, even here. In the center lies the cradle. It is not a bed or platform, but an expanse of soft, undulating light. It looks like fabric made of starlight, gathered gently in folds like blankets, waiting for a child long grown. Walk to it slowly, reverently, your body following a rhythm it didn't know it knew. And when you arrive, you sit, and then lie back. Not because you are commanded, but because you are welcome. The cradle hums beneath you, not with sound, but with memory. Not sharp, not overwhelming. Just the presence of all things that were once alive and have chosen peace. A loose sense echoes of stars, long gone, the planets that once held life. Of people whose names are no longer spoken, not out of loss, but because they have become part of something greater. A T, something remembered beyond the need for words. Lyra appears beside you now, fully present, her face soft with emotion, though not sorrow. She kneels, and her voice, when she speaks, feels like it belongs not in the air, but in your bloodstream. This is the last room, she says. It's not the end of your journey, just the part where you learn how to stay. You don't understand, not fully, but you don't need to. Understanding will come later, in the quiet moments between waking and sleep, between breath and dream. Lyra continues. The cradle is where even stars come to rest. Not to die, but to change form. Memory becomes gravity. Light becomes silence. All things find their final shape here, not as story, but as presence. You let your eyes close, not to sleep, but to surrender, to soften, to be held. You feel yourself begin to drift not in space, but inward, downward, like a drop of dew sliding down the curve of a leaf. The cradle holds you, and you melt into it without resistance. You are becoming part of the hush, part of the songless music that holds the cosmos together in the spaces where nothing moves. You are not being erased. You are being remembered. Lyra's voice is the last thing you hear. Let go, she whispers, not as a command, but as a blessing. Let the stillness hold what you no longer need to carry. Let the dark remember the light for you. Rest now, traveler. Your echo will sing for you. And as your mind dissolves into the soft folds of peace, you feel it, the sensation of no longer being separate, of joining the archive not as a visitor, not even as a memory, but as a still point in its great breathing. You do not vanish, you become. You are the warmth that flickers in the quiet hearth. You are the leaf that rustles in the memory grove. You are the ripple in the listening well. It was a breath of silence in the chamber, the dust upon the shelf of sacred forgetting. You are not asleep, you are home. And here, in the cradle of the forgotten star, where all things rest, you drift beyond. You awaken without movement, not the way you do after sleep, but in the way stars awaken slowly, with light that builds from within. There is no jolt, no return to urgency, only the sensation of being gently lifted from the cradle's silence, like a leaf released into a still pond. The chamber around you hasn't changed, and yet it feels different. The colors have softened. The folds of starlight beneath you now pulse with a slower rhythm, as if encouraging you to rise only when you're ready, and you are. Slowly, you sit up. Lyra stands nearby, hands folded behind her back, her posture relaxed, her expression tinged with something like pride, but quieter, deeper. She does not speak immediately. When she does speak, her voice is not simply commit, is reverent. You've passed through stillness, she says. Now, you are ready to weave. You don't ask what that means. The question forms and dissolves before it reaches your lips. Some part of you already understands. The archive I senti only about remembering what was, it's about forming what will be. Lyra motions, and a passage opens, not from a door or hatch, but from space itself. It unfolds like fabric being parted, revealing a corridor lined not with shelves or light, but threads. Endless strands of gold and green and soft black, suspended in midair, glowing faintly. They float from ceiling to floor in slow curves and loops, not tangled, but not yet woven. You step inside. Its corridor narrows, drawing you into a long, curving chamber that wraps inward like the shell of an ancient creature. This is the loom of quiet tomorrows. There are no sounds, here no machinery, no pulsing walls. Only the barely audible vibration of possibility, the kind you can only hear when your breath matches the pace of your heart. Here, the archive does not preserve the past, it prepares the future, not by writing it, but by offering the threads from which it may be spun. Lyra explains as she walks beside you. Every moment, she says, leaves behind a thread, a possible continuation. Most fade, some tangle, but the ones you carried here, they're ready. She gestures to a cluster of threads glowing slightly brighter than the others. You recognize their hues not from memory, but from feeling. One glows with the soft warmth of the hearth where you first listened. Another shimmers like the water from the listening well. Another carries the gentle green of the young memory tree you helped plant. And one, nearly invisible, pulses with the hush of the chamber of silence. These are yours, Lyra says. Not because you claimed them, but because you honored them. You reach out. Your fingers do not grasp, they hover. The threads respond, curving toward your hand as if drawn by intention alone. When your palm opens, the threads begin to braid themselves, slowly, fluidly, forming a pattern that you do not design, yet which feels entirely natural. Each thread adds something new to the shape. One brings stillness, one brings wonder, one brings peace, and another carries a question you've never quite been able to ask. The braid extends and expands, weaving outward into the air not in a straight line, but in arcs and spirals, like constellations being drawn in slow motion. And you realize you are forming a future, not for yourself. Not in the way people on planets plan, but for someone, somewhere, someday. This is a memory being made in advance. A gift to a soul who may need it, long after you are gone. Lyra watches you, her eyes filled with something luminous. The archive doesn't store only the past, she says softly. It keeps the tenderness of what could be, and it lets those who understand weave their kindness into what is to come. You continue, each movement of your hand inviting more threads to join. They wrap gently into your design, a kind of emotional architecture, delicate yet strong, not rigid, not complete, but living. The loom begins to respond on its own now. Threads join without your asking. Possibilities align. Your breath slows even further, in rhythm with the emerging shape. until it feels as though you're not making anything, you're remembering something you already dreamed. Eventually, the shape reaches completion, not a structure, but a sensation. It floats in the air before you, like a soft sculpture woven of meaning, a lullaby without notes, a hand held without needing to ask, a starlit room in someone else's future where they, too, will feel safe. You let go. The woven memory does not fall. It rises slowly, lifting into the chamber above, or you watch as it drifts toward the far end of the spiral chamber, where hundreds, perhaps thousands of other woven dreams wait, suspended like fireflies in soft hibernation. Each one is a silent promise. Yours joins them. A light among lights, a kindness among hopes. You exhale, not because you're tired, but because you feel clear. You've given something not from obligation, but from understanding. And it will live longer than you. It will glow when you are dark. It will guide when you are forgotten. Lyra places her hand gently on your shoulder. The archive grows, she whispers, not with what it gathers, but with what is offered. You walk with her once more, the corridor folding back into itself until the threads are behind you. The chamber narrows. The stillness returns, not because you are returning to sleep, but because the loom has been satisfied. You step into a small alcove at the end of the corridor and find, to your surprise, a mirror. You haven't seen yourself in this place before, and what you see now is not quite what you expected. You are not older, not changed in form, but your reflection holds more light than shadow, more depth than lines. You look like someone who remembers how to rest, who has wandered long enough to stop running, who has listened long enough to speak only when needed. You nod to yourself, not in pride, not in recognition, but in peace. You turn from the mirror and find that the vessel has returned. Waiting, Lyra walks beside you to its open door. The stars outside seem softer now. Or maybe it's your eyes that have changed. Either way, the cosmos welcomes you differently, not as a traveler, as a part of it. She stops just before you step inside. There is one more place, she says, but it doesn't lie ahead. You turn to her. She places her hand gently over your heart. It's here, and with that, she steps back. You step inside the vessel. It closes around you like sleep, and you begin to drift not forward, but inward once more, carrying the woven memory within you, the loom behind you, the stars ahead, and the story still unfolding. The vessel glides silently, effortlessly, through a portion of space, so still it feels like the stars themselves are holding their breath. Sit in a gentle seat of woven light, wrapped not in metal or fabric, but in something that feels closer to memory than material. There is no sensation of time here, no pressure to arrive, only the steady, cradling presence of return. You're not going forward anymore. You're circling inward, completing something unspoken. The view beyond the vessel's rounded window is both familiar and transformed. You pass the glittering strands of the loom of quiet tomorrows. The listening well flickers in the distance like the echo of a whispered secret. Each chamber you passed through before now seems softer in the memory, not because they've faded, but because they've settled into place, like books returned to the shelf after a long reading. You exhale slowly, the breath a thread binding each of your experiences into one seamless fabric of stillness. Then, just ahead, you see it, a vast arch, wider than any structure you've encountered in the archive so far. It is formed not of stone, nor light, but of concentrated starlight, curved and humming. It pulses, with a golden glow that shifts like the horizon at sunrise. This is the Hall of Returning Light, A place not of instruction, or memory, or transformation, but of reflection. A sanctuary where what you've gathered finds its meaning, where the light you gave away is given back in a new form. The vessel slows. You step out and feel immediately warmer, as if the space itself remembers your name. There is no chill here, no echo, it's just a deep, silent resonance, like a great bell that's just finished ringing and left only its warmth behind. Lyra is waiting near the center of the hall, standing before a tall pillar of mirrored light that glows with green and gold. Colors now so familiar to you, they feel like home. She greets you with her eyes, her posture unhurried, serene. You walk toward her slowly. Each step is easy, and yet heavy with meaning. You're not returning as the person who entered the archive. You are not returning to yourself. You are returning with yourself. Lyra gestures toward the pillar. This is not a mirror, she says softly. It is a convergence. You glance at its surface, and what you see is not your reflection. 'Tis your presence rendered in motion. Every moment you experienced in the archive plays out here, not chronologically, but thematically. You see the strands you wove at the loom spiral beside the laughter you heard from the memory grove. The hush of the chamber of silence is wrapped around the glow of the storylight hearth. They rise, fall, combine, and spin again. 'Tis your light, Lyra says, but also the light you gave to the archive, Tia, and to all who will follow after you. You reach out not to touch, but to acknowledge. The convergence responds, drawing a final pattern across its surface. Not an image, law, but a constellation made of your journey. A quiet, personal map, not meant to guide others, only to remind you that the path was real. Lyra steps beside you, and together, you watch the constellation complete itself. Most leave the archive without words, she says, after a long moment. Because some truths are better carried in breath than in language. You nod. You understand now. The archive didn't change you. It revealed the quiet parts of you that had always been there, waiting for silence to give them space. As you stand in the hall, you begin to feel a pulse, not even emotional, but something deeper, a rhythm, a beckoning. It's time, not to leave, but to rise, to become the next version of yourself that this journey has shaped. There is no ceremony, no grand farewell. It's just the steady approach of stillness becoming motion again. Lyra offers a final word, not spoken, but sensed. Return, but keep the hush. You turn. The vessel is ready once more. Lemamoi. But now, you know, this journey will not end where it began, Apia, because you are bringing the archive with you, not as a place, but as a way of being. As you step into the ship, the hall dims behind you, not fading, but folding back into quiet. The light that was reflected there now glows gently inside you. The ship lifts, not with engines, but with remembrance. You do not need directions. You do not need propulsion. The way forward is carried by stillness. Outside, the black dwarf star slumbers in its eternal calm. The shelves stretch on in soft spirals behind you. Nay, the archive is unchanged, and yet it will never be quite the same again. Because of you, because of the light you carried in, because of the silence you offered, because of the dream you left woven in its tapestry. And now, as the stars shift to guide your journey once more, you prepare for the final part of this drift, a return unlike any before, a final pause before the waking, hush before the first word is spoken again. You are not leaving the archive. You are bringing it into everything you touch from now on, and in the distance, the last chamber begins to open.
The vessel drifts toward the final chamber, not with purpose, but with peace. There's no need to rush. The archive, in all its silent grandeur, does not measure time as people do. It doesn't end things. It allows them to find their own still point. And so, your journey doesn't hurry to conclude. It prepares to rest. You feel it in the slow rhythm of the stars beyond the window, in the soft quiet between your breaths. Something is finishing, not like a closing door, but like the last note of a song that's still ringing in the air. The chamber ahead is unlike any you've seen before. There is no archway, no threshold, just a wide, open space, vast, boundless. It doesn't shimmer, it doesn't hum, it simply waits. When the vessel settles, the doors do not open immediately. Instead, the walls around you grow translucent, not to reveal space, but to show dreams. They flicker like starlight, brief images, whispers, echoes of people who passed through the archive long before you. Each one has left behind something small, a touch, a breath, a moment of stillness that was once felt and never forgotten. You realize now the archive isn't a structure, it's a memory that holds other memories, a sleep that dreams of sleepers. The door opens, you step out. There is no floor in this final space, no ground, no ceiling, just softness, as if you were walking on layered clouds spun from ancient signs. The stars are close here, or maybe you are far away from everything else. Either way, you do not feel distance. You feel welcome. Ahead, there is only one thing, a chair, but not just a chair. A seat formed from woven threads of all the spaces you've traveled, black strands from the silent chamber, green filaments from the memory grove, gold arcs from the loom, and pale starlight from the listening well. It is not a throne, not a station. It is a resting place. Lyra appears beside it, not walking, just there, as if this place conjures her more fully than before. She does not speak. Instead, she gently gestures for you to sit, and you do, not because you are tired, but because it is time. As you settle, something soft unfurls above you, a canopy, though you never saw it before. It shimmers with the faintest touch of color, every hue you encountered in the archive, now stitched into a final sky, a dream sky just for you. You look up into it, and you begin to remember. But this time, the memories are not from the archive, they are your own. You remember the feel of cool grass on your feet in a quiet park, the way your hand brushed against a wall in a home you loved. You remember a face you hadn't thought of in years, not with sadness, but with a quiet take that fades into gratitude. You remember how silence used to feel like loneliness, and how now it feels like comfort. All of these memories rise from within you, not summoned, not forced. They are ready now, ready to settle like dust on a sunlit table. Your breathing slows. Lyra kneels beside you and speaks softly, finally, one last time. This is where the story sleeps, she says. Not ends, not disappears. It simply rests until someone else needs it. You close your eyes, not to block the world, but to feel it more deeply. Lyra's voice becomes fainter, like a lullaby fading into the hum of your own thoughts. The archive will always be here, she says, but now so will you. And with that, she is gone. But you are not alone. You are surrounded by the stories you walked through, by the quiet you offered, by the kindness you left behind, even when you didn't know you were giving it. And slowly, the chair reclines, not mechanically, but organically, like a petal folding in darkness. The canopy above shifts into deeper hues, blues, indigos, velvety black, and tiny points of light blink to life across it. Your own constellation, your record, your rest, your ripple in the quiet sea of time. You are not just in the archive now. You are the archive, a part of its hush, its warmth, its memory. The stars beyond shift slightly, forming the shape of an open eye, and then closing. The canopy lowers, and the light softens, and you now fully held, fully remembered drift beyond, to rest, to sleep, to become part of the story that never truly ends, only quiets.